Hello, and welcome to Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Before we begin, please hit the like button if you like this video. It helps so much. I know it sounds like a simple thing, but the algorithm is a beast. You can also listen to my podcasts. This is Dining with Death. This is an archival series. This is Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. This is the current podcast. I post new episodes every Monday and Wednesday, and sometimes you get podcast exclusives that you won't see here on YouTube. Both of those podcasts are on Apple and Spotify. How's your week going? How you doing? You hanging in there? It's been a long, hot summer, but I feel maybe there's an uptick in better energy. Is anybody else feeling that? Something's a little bit better lately, it seems like. I see people being a little bit nicer to each other. I see people saying, let's end all the discourse. It just feels a little better maybe lately, which is funny for me to say because I've had a lot of personal stress the last couple of weeks. But I'll take my wins where I can get them. It's Conspiracy Day here on Dark Hearts, and this one is going to blow your mind. This one involves futuristic fears about AI taking over the world. It involves Elon Musk, and it involves something called Shrimp Jesus. I'm not joking. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist myself, but I do believe in some of them, and I really enjoy talking about them. I think we can all agree the advent of social media has done some very, very bad things to our society. It's done some good things, but it's done some very, very bad things as well. Around 2015, I think the bad started to outweigh the good. That's my personal experience. I think decades from now, people will look back on the beginning of social media and think, wow, look at the human race. When we finally had the ability to all be connected, immediately. You can get online and talk to somebody in a completely different part of the world. Instead of discussing art and music and science, we chose to fight about politicians who wouldn't spit in your mouth if you were dying of thirst, whether or not viruses are actually real, and things like whether or not people should be breeding dogs. We use social media mainly to insult each other, and I find it depressing. Now, don't get me wrong. I've done my fair share of insulting. I own it. I am not a political person at all, but I am a person who has very strong opinions about people who break the law and people who think they're above the law. I'll be the first one to tell you, I spent some time fighting online in the 2015, 2016 era. I don't do it anymore, but I honestly used to think if you present someone with facts, they'll go, oh, I didn't know that, and they'll change their mind. How dumb was I? But as the years have gone by, a very strange conspiracy theory has arisen about why people might be fighting online, and it's not what you think. Some believe that the people fighting online aren't people at all. Today, we are talking about the dead internet conspiracy. I'm your host, Stacy Lee. Let's begin. Our story begins in the dark rooms and the back rooms of the internet, on 4chan and Reddit, places you can go to find some really good information and a whole lot of bullshit. I find 4chan to be a particularly dreadful place, full of edgelords and gatekeepers and incels and very angry people that just want to fight. Where do people get the energy to just sit and fight all the time? Give me some of that energy, because your bitch is tired. I am tired. Give me some of that energy. I'll do something productive with it. If you're not familiar with 4chan, it is an image-based bulletin board where people can go and post images, photographs, memes, and then other people can comment on them. You start a thread and then everybody comes and chimes in. Everything is separated into categories. The biggest categories are Japanese culture anime, comic books, and lots of porn. So once someone posts an image, then there's the opportunity to go in and discuss the image, and usually it just breaks out into an insult war. There's always somebody stating that they've got superior information. They know more than the other people. They've got inside scoops. When I picture the people that spend a lot of time on 4chan and Reddit, I picture the lone gunmen from the X-Files. Remember those guys? They were always trying to one-up each other with who had the most secretive information and who had the best hacker skills. They called it kung fu. They would always say, my kung fu is better than your kung fu. If those characters were real people in real life, they would definitely be spending a lot of time on 4chan and Reddit. There are other places on the internet too, but I'm not going to talk about those because I don't want to get, Reddit, of course, is a site where you can discuss literally anything in the world. There's a lot of good information on Reddit. I find a lot of information for my episodes on Reddit. Anything I find on Reddit, I make sure I verify through a trusted news site, but I get a lot of tip-offs on Reddit that I can then follow and go down the rabbit hole. The conspiracy theory we're talking about today involves 4chan and Reddit, but it also includes the most used social media platform in the world, Facebook. Oh, Facebook, the place where aunts and uncles, cousins and friends you haven't seen in 10 years jump on and call you terrible names you wouldn't repeat out loud. They scream insults at you. They chastise you for living a lifestyle that doesn't belong to the religion you were raised in. Oh, wait, I might actually be talking about myself. Facebook is a place where families can implode over the posting of a single meme. Friendships of decades can be dissolved with the single press of the return button. It's really quite shocking and disappointing to find out how much we hate each other. It's a bummer to me. But I also can't really speak because I am also disgusted and appalled by things I see on Facebook every day. It's kind of a cesspool. I think it brings out the worst in us, doesn't it? I've even learned, I keep thinking I've learned this lesson and then I have to learn it again. When my daughters and I are not getting along, don't text. Don't text people when you're in a disagreement because it's so easy to text something that you wouldn't say. There's just something about typing it to somebody that's different than saying it to their face. And I think I've finally learned my lesson on that. Just don't text when you're upset. Things get lost in translation when you're typing, and sometimes you type something and then you find out later on that the other person was like, that was so rude, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can see how you thought that. That's not how I meant it. It's dangerous. Just pick up the phone and call each other or sit down face to face and talk. I don't spend much time on Facebook anymore. There was a time that I did. There was also a time that I was a little bit half crazy. But let's talk about this new conspiracy theory. Buckle up, because this is wild. Like I said, this is called the dead internet theory, and it goes like this. The theory asserts that the internet as a whole is now mainly dead. It is mainly run by bots. Most of the human interaction that you see on the internet is not human interaction at all. The dead internet conspiracy theorists insist that the internet is now run by automatically generated content that is manipulated by the platform's algorithm. This theory asserts that the internet has been dead since about 2016, 2017. That during those years, bots took over the internet, and now most of what you see, especially on social media, is generated by bots, not human beings. How did this all get started? In 2021, a thread titled Dead Internet Theory, Most of the Internet is Fake, was published on a forum called Agora Roads Macintosh Cafe by a user with the handle Illuminati Pirate. As soon as the post went up, the 4chan community latched onto it. The paranormal community got involved and the wizard community got involved. Now, Wizard-chan is not people who are obsessed with wizards and fantasy books. Wizard-chan, for whatever reason, is populated by 30-plus-year-old virgins, men who are still virgins after the age of 30. I don't know why it's called Wizard-chan. But Wizard-chan and Paranormal-chan got really involved in this dead internet theory. Then the theory actually started to gain some traction with people involved in technology and people involved in AI discussion, futurists, people that have concerns about the risks of AI. Then the theory got more widespread when some big YouTubers started talking about it. More people became exposed to the idea. From there, The Atlantic picked up on the conspiracy theory, and they wrote an article called, "Maybe You Missed It, but the Internet Died 5 years ago." Now, there are two components to this conspiracy theory. The first is that bots have taken over the internet, but the bots are being managed and manipulated by some secret cabal with an ulterior motive. Most people believe it's like, some people call it the deep state, some people say QAnon, some people call it an evil democratic cabal. It depends on what side of the political spectrum. They're wings of the same bird. The people on the far right, the people on the far left, they're the same people. They're just arguing over different things. I would tiptoe into territory of saying one group is more dangerous than the other one, but they are wings of the same bird philosophically. They're both extreme. The people that believe in this first component think that this is mainly Christian nationalists, some sort of deep state situation, only, not the evil blood drinking Democrats that live under the White House. What happened to my life that I'm sitting here talking about this? I actually find this stuff really fascinating, but it's just kooky to hear the words come out of my mouth. Now, this theory sounds really crazy, but I'm going to show you a video in a few minutes that's going to make you go, wait a minute. The theory is that this small faction of, powerful internet people are creating most of the memes and most of the images that you see posted on Facebook. And they're posted to manipulate you and to make you feel a certain way, to make you react the way they want. This theory is these people want you to believe that you're looking at an image or a meme created by somebody sitting in Ohio, when actually that meme was created by a bot that has been studying your type of the population and is trying to learn everything about you on Facebook. It's really not that crazy. The second component of the conspiracy theory is that the US government is running the bots. The US government intentionally puts these bots online to create images and memes and posts that are going to draw a reaction out of the people. Now, there are different theories about what that reaction is supposed to be. Some people believe that these bots are trying to convince people to keep breeding. As we all know, the birth rate is down. There are a lot of women that are not having children, that are choosing to remain childless. And that is a concern, because if you do not have a workforce, you cannot exploit a workforce. So there are people that believe the government is putting out propaganda. These bots are putting out propaganda to try to keep people breeding. Cute baby videos, cute family videos, sweet little memes about, motherhood and fatherhood. It's very Handmaid's Tale. I mean, if you haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale, it's scarier and scarier every day. Idiocracy, the movie Idiocracy, it was not supposed to be a documentary, but it's turned into a documentary. And let's hope and pray that Handmaid's Tale does not become a documentary. Some people believe that the US government is using these bots to manipulate the workforce. They're subliminally trying to get people to feel like they need to work harder, push harder, achieve more, work longer hours. And then there are people that believe a lot of the bots are put out there to kind of gaslight the population, making us believe that what we're seeing is not really what we're seeing, and also to make us fight with one another. As long as we fight each other, we will not fight the government. So I say I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think this is a conspiracy. The government likes to keep the population distracted and at each other's throats, because as long as we're fighting amongst ourselves, we are not looking at them and saying, when did you become our overlords? When did you become someone that works for me, that owns a yacht and 5 houses and has, corporate tax breaks? You're my employee and I'm barely getting by. But see, as long as we keep fighting each other, we're never going to fight them. This next part gets a little technical. I think I'm probably more computer savvy than most people my age. I mean, I This is what I do all day long. I run Premiere and Photoshop and Illustrator and all those kinds of things. But I don't know coding. I don't know really a lot about SEO. I do a little SEO here on this channel, but I'm definitely not a cutting edge technology person. We all know that AI has become very big, very fast. AI, of course, stands for artificial intelligence. You can use artificial intelligence for many, many things. I'm going to show you guys something. Jason is going to murder me. He's going to kill me. I'm going to be on my own Dateline, you guys. Sometimes I get in really bad trouble for my dark humor. I'm not sorry. Jason needed a headshot for something he's involved in, and we were really busy. And so I said, you know what? I'll just get AI to make your headshots. So I paid $35, and you have to send in like 10 photographs of the person. You guys. So this is the one we ended up using. This one actually looks like Jason, but look at some of the other photos. Hi, would you like to touch my silky shirt? My nipples are poking through. The hat? I mean, cover your drinks, ladies. Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. What? Why is he in a turtleneck? Like he's Archer. I can't get over the silky shirt with the pointy nipples. But anyway, I gotta go. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. Okay. Anyway, we did get one good headshot out of it. There were a couple others that weren't bad. You know, I paid my $35. I submitted the 10 images, and then it said, give us 15 to 20 minutes. And then I got a link in my email and the images were there. It was pretty slick. It also sucks, as someone who used to do photography as a side gig, to know that I've taken money away from an actual photographer. I'm fully admitting that, but it was just more convenient. We didn't have a lot of time. You know, he works out of state, and it was just easy. So I'm part of the problem. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. You can also get AI to write things for you. In fact, there's a lot of discussion on YouTube here about content creators that are not writing their own content anymore. I personally would never trust AI to do research for me. You guys are so sharp. If I do one thing wrong or say one thing wrong, I hear all about it. I hear all about it. And I also feel like AI just grabs the surface stuff, just what's really easy to find. And I don't try to do that. I try to always find like some additional information. Sometimes it's impossible, but I do try. I feel like AI just scans Wikipedia and scans, you know, the very top headline things. Not that I don't use Wikipedia sometimes. Sometimes that's all there is. I've covered cases where literally there's a Wikipedia page with 4 paragraphs, and then I just have to go digging as much as I can. You can also get AI to generate images out of nothing. You don't have to send in 10 pictures like I did with Jason. You can just say to the AI, create me a picture of Jesus in the Garden of Eden. And you get an image like this, or like this, or like this. Now, Jesus has become a really big topic in the discussion about AI. We're going to get into that. The other AI that has caused a lot of controversy is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an AI chatbot that was released in 2022. And the release of ChatGPT is when this theory, this dead internet theory, really took off. Well-respected journalists began to theorize that with this AI having access to large language models, we were in uncharted territory, that it was difficult to know how the AI was going to behave. Just a few days ago, voice actors for video games went on strike. I don't know if you've seen the news on this, but these voice actors are saying that they've done some recording for video games. Their voice gets famous with this famous video character or this famous video game character. And now the producers of the video games, they don't need the actor anymore. They've got enough audio of the person's voice where they can tell AI, I want you to say these words, this script using this actor's voice, and AI can recreate that actor's voice. And the actors are saying, that's not fair. You can't use my voice without paying me. You can't use my voice without permission. And I completely agree with that, actually. So as wild as this sounds, there is some actual proof that this is happening. I am now going to play you a clip. I found this creator on TikTok that's really very educated on all of this. You'll see his username, and I'll post it so you can follow him if you want to. But I'm going to show you a video that's entitled, are you ready for this? Turtle Swift. Buckle up, buttercups.
I have found proof the dead internet theory is true on Facebook with photos like this, Turtle Swift. As these photos have gotten more and more ridiculous, we continue to see comments like this. Now we know that these are bots commenting because no one would ever comment amen on a photo like this. Now we know that this AI has been feeding off of its own traffic for a while from posts like this with over 300,000 likes. No one would ever believe that this is real, but the evidence I have now is showing me that the AI image generation is continuing to devolve. Since it's no longer relying on real people for traffic and only relying on bots, we're seeing the AI's ability to generate realistic looking images get worse and worse. And as we continue to see the dead internet theory play out, we're going to see more and more images like this that make less and less sense. Just a couple weeks ago, we had the AI generating incredibly realistic images of Jesus, like right here and right here. But now, as these dead internet bot interactions continue to give it good feedback, we're getting images like this. It looks to me like we're back at the very beginning when the AI couldn't even generate human hands. It also appears to be changing themes, but it's still getting tons of traffic. I mean, look at those numbers, 122,000. It can't even tell what the human body's supposed to look like here. The only constant I'm seeing is that it tries to put Jesus in every single photo. But I'm going to keep paying close attention. I'm seeing some interesting things that tells me the machine itself sees it lording over God. Make sure and hit that follow button. We're going to see where this goes and see how this develops.
Not only is that freaky, it is so ridiculous. A half Taylor Swift, half turtle hybrid. But this guy makes some really good points. Who in the world is going to see Turtle Swift and comment amen with prayer hands? Who is going to see Turtle Swift and comment God bless? Who is going to see a picture of Harry Cheese and comment Jesus is king? He makes some good points. That seems like bot activity. I'm in a Facebook group called God Has the Worst Fan Base. And don't get offended if you love God and believe in God. Everyone in my life that I love believes in God. It's just about those really wacky people that take it really too far. Did you see those two people that have gone viral because they stormed out of Deadpool 3 minutes in because Deadpool disrespected their God? Like, some people just take it too far. But in this Facebook group that I'm in, people find things out in the wild where it's like a very obviously fake Jesus. It doesn't even look like a real painting or anything. It's very obviously AI created, and someone has created it with Jesus doing something vulgar, and people just lose their minds. And it's like, dude, bro, sis, that's not a real image. Nobody really created that. A bot created that to rile you up, and you're falling for it. Now, as this guy talked a little bit about, the AI started out using very real things, human-made things, human-made images, photos of people to get its base knowledge and understanding to go off of. But over time, the AI has gotten into kind of a circular pattern. And now it's not using real things as inspiration for images. It's using AI-generated things as inspiration. And those AI things are warping and turning out very strange images. And this next one is called Spider Jesus.
I am finding evidence of the dead internet theory being completely true on Facebook in the form of images like this, Spider Jesus. This requires us to go back a little bit to last year, where I was even making videos talking about this very subject. AI image generating bots were jump-started on Facebook to create images like this one right here, supposedly man-made, of Jesus made out of sand on the beach. Now experiencing a great deal of success on these posts, as you can see with 41,000 likes. I believe their AI algorithms were taking their most successful posts and doubling down on them. To be a little bit more specific, posts that had to do with things like animals, Jesus, airline travel. And now the AI is generating images with a combination of those subjects that makes absolutely no sense. And it's posting things like this, where there's Jesus holding a set of legs with a tiger on his shoulders. Now initially these type of posts wouldn't work because regular people would see them, they don't make any sense, and they wouldn't get any traffic on Facebook. But now what's happened, as these bots have made tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of fake accounts that no human has access to, no one knows the password to. The AI is now feeding itself, and posts like this are getting hundreds of thousands of likes. The machine is feeding itself, and what we're getting in return is combination posts like this. It's an airplane that also has the mouth of a shark, surrounded by alligators. And you know what? The AI can't even figure out if this is a propeller plane or a jet plane. And ultimately, it doesn't even matter, because the only traffic on these posts seems to be AI bots. Now, the machine does seem to be imploding, but as long as there's no shortage of traffic from other AI bots, as millions and millions more are created every day, you and me can only guess where this is going to end up. But it's clear that Facebook is already being destroyed, but I'll be keeping an eye on these posts as we go forward. Follow me if you want to see what happens.
The spaceship. Does anybody have an update on where the spaceship is? You can definitely see how the AI is feeding itself, right? AI started out learning from real images, and then those images got degraded, and those images got degraded, and those images got degraded, and now the AI is in this kind of weird surrealist state. We're ending up with freakier and freakier results. I'm really very interested in AI's obsession with Jesus. I find that to be fascinating. Most people theorize that in the early days of AI bots realized that anything that had to do with Jesus, or like the guy said in the video, cute animals, but mostly Jesus, got a lot of interaction. Whenever Jesus appeared in an image, there was a lot of interaction with people. There were a lot of comments, there were a lot of likes, there were a lot of dislikes. Jesus was something that everyone was interested in talking about, and the AI picked up on that. The bots saw Jesus equals interaction. The bots are programmed to try and generate interaction. If Jesus brings lots of interaction, then we're gonna do more Jesus. Now let's talk about one of my least favorite people on earth, Elon Musk. I absolutely cannot stand this man. It has nothing to do with his politics. It has to do with the fact that he is a phony, he's a poser, and most of all, he's a horrible father. If it comes right down to brass tacks, I do not like Elon Musk because he's a horrible father. If you don't know about that, go and read his kids' tweets about him. People think Elon Musk is some sort of a genius, that he invented electric cars, or that he invented rocket ships, or that he invented some sort of new battery. Elon Musk has never invented diddly squat. He invented nothing. He got money from daddy, and he invested the money, and he bought companies with money from daddy. Now, I admit I do not spend any time on Twitter. I don't really understand how Twitter works. I know if you're really into politics, that's where you get a lot of, information from your favorite politicians and things like that. I abhor politics. I don't spend any time on Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I don't even use it. I think I have 9 followers. But something happened when Elon Musk went to purchase Twitter, which he now calls X. Does anyone call it X? Anytime I hear it mentioned, they always say X, formerly Twitter. They're still using the word Twitter because nobody remembers that it's called X. What a stupid name. Before Elon Musk purchased Twitter, there was an analysis done. Now, I am the last person in the world that understands anything about the purchase of billion-dollar corporations, but I do know enough to know that there's always a lot of analysis that takes place. The state of the company, the health of the company, the value of the company, the assets of the company. When this analysis was run by an outside firm that wasn't on Twitter's side, wasn't on Elon Musk's side, it came back stating that 14% of the accounts on Twitter are completely run by bots. No human interaction whatsoever. A human did not create the account. A human does not run the account. It is 100% bot created. 14% of the accounts. Elon Musk scoffed at that number and said it was more like 1%. Twitter itself then came back and said, no, our numbers say 5 to 6%. Twitter was being more honest about it. They thought it was more like 5 to 6%. I tend to believe the higher numbers because this firm is an outside entity brought in to uncover the truth. A second firm called Counteraction was then hired to do another analysis. That firm was hired by Elon Musk, and surprise, surprise, their numbers came back lower, more like Twitter's around 5 to 6% bots. So what is the intention of these bots on Twitter? Again, it depends on who you ask. It's either, some Mr. Burns, old billionaires in a blood-drinking cabal, or it's the US government. Are those any different? I mean, they're kind of one and the same, right? But as everyone's arguing about where the bots came from or who's running them, some other people came up with an even more disturbing theory. What if the bots created themselves? Now, as I've stated, we know that there are accounts that are generated by bots, but most people believe in the beginning, humans had to create the very first bot accounts. The scarier theory is that AI is so sentient, it did not need humans to create those first accounts. There are people that believe there is no secret cabal or government agency behind the creation of the first bot accounts, that the bots created themselves. And I find that theory to be quite scary. Let's talk about Shrimp Jesus for a moment. We got Turtle Swift, we got Spider Jesus, and now we got Shrimp Jesus. For whatever reason, Shrimp Jesus is the image that went viral that really got people talking about what is going on with AI. Is the internet really dead? Are there really this many bot accounts? And are we seeing mostly bot interaction online now? This image of Shrimp Jesus, oh my gosh, it reminds me of The Thing, the horror movie The Thing. I talked about that movie a little while ago too. There's a lot of The Thing in my mind lately. I don't know, a lot of things remind me of that movie lately. But this image started to float around Facebook, and people were noticing all of the comments were like very generic. Amen. God bless. USA. Jesus is Lord. These are not comments that would be made by real people. Nobody's going to see this image. A human being is not going to see this image and comment amen. They're going to comment WTF. They're going to comment what the hell is this? And the image was always showing up with no caption, no title, no headline, just the image of Shrimp Jesus. And then thousands and thousands of comments that didn't have anything to do with the image. That's when people involved in this world began to realize the AI is fishing. It's fishing not for shrimp. It's fishing for comments. It's fishing to see what is going to get a reaction out of people. And people started to study Shrimp Jesus as kind of a touchstone, as kind of an awakening point of this is really happening. These bots are really creating these strange images. And not only are they creating them, they're posting them multiple times in different areas, and they're waiting to see who gloms onto it, who comments, who attaches to that image, what reaction can they get? Now, of course, there's the obvious reason for that. Clicks equal money. When you have an image or a post that gets a lot of clicks, advertisers pay to get associated with that image or with that post. If a reel gets a lot of views, then advertisers pay to have their little ad pop up after the reel is over. So whoever watches the little 15-second reel sees that ad next. So that's the obvious reason. The bots are creating things that are going to get a lot of clicks to draw advertisers that are going to pay money. But pay money to who? These are bots. These aren't real people. These aren't images generated by a real person. So why would the bots be motivated by money? You see, it gets a little scarier. They did a study in Australia. 46% of people between the ages of 18 and 26 now get their news from social media. They don't watch TV news. They don't listen to the radio. They don't do a newspaper. They're getting their news from social media. If these bots are fishing for clicks, they're going to create things that get pushed to the top of everyone's feed. Today, it might be Shrimp Jesus. Tomorrow, it might be dangerous propaganda. That's the concern. In 2018, a study analyzed 14 million tweets on Twitter over a 10-month period between 2016 and 2017. The study found that bots on social media were significantly involved in disseminating articles from unreliable sources. The bots were intentionally picking up on very sensationalized headlines, and they were promoting those sensationalized headlines because they got more clicks. The bots were pushing the incorrect information, the misinformation, to the public, to the top of people's news feeds, because they got a lot of clicks. We know for a fact that Russia has engaged in a very serious anti-Ukrainian propaganda war using bots on Facebook. We know that during the pandemic, there was a lot of information that was pushed out by bots. There was a lot of things that really infuriated people, and the madder people got, the more clicks the article got. Can we all just take a moment and realize what we lived through? Sometimes I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we lived through. That was awful. That was really, really awful what we all lived through. Look, I know this is a wild conspiracy theory, and I know it's a little technical. It's not as fun to talk about as some of the other conspiracy theories, but I think it's a little scary, and I think it's something we need to keep our eye on. I don't really worry about you guys. My husband laughs because I talk about you guys as though I know you all personally. But I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on who you are, and I don't worry about you getting sucked in to crazy images and conspiracy theories. I'm putting this information more out for the people that we need to help. I'm not saying any of us are smarter than anybody else. I just feel like this community draws people together that have been through a lot and have already kind of had maybe their crisis in life or their awakening in life. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense? This is just the vibe I get from most of you. And I think it's important for people like us to stay alert. So maybe if you're on Facebook and you see somebody falling for these crazy images and getting all riled up, maybe you just kindly step in and, don't make them feel like an idiot or anything like that. There's no need to be mean, but just say, hey, this is an AI generated image. I know it's really hard to tell them apart. Just be aware, that these bots, they're out there and they're trying to rile you up. We can help people with kindness. We don't need to make people feel stupid for falling for something that's fake. This saying might be hundreds of years old, but it's true. You draw a lot more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And if we want to draw people over to our side of the fence into being more rational and more level-headed in their thinking, I think the way we go about that is by kindly taking them by the hand and kind of leading them through why they might be a little bit misguided. Does that make sense? And I think this is also a really good reminder. I wanted to do this episode because with the political climate being so heated right now, I think it's a good reminder to stay really skeptical of everything that you see online. Really question things and double check things before you post, double check things before you get angry. I have 2 or 3 trusted sources, and I always think maybe I shouldn't put this out there, but for the most part, I trust NPR. I usually trust Associated Press, and most of the time the BBC is pretty impartial. The rest of the news outlets are kind of biased one way or the other. I don't think there's any such thing as a totally unbiased news source, but those 3 to me, in my experience, and in the experience of people that I trust and admire, there are actually navigator sites online where you can check the accuracy. There are charts and graphs, for people like me that, easy to understand, that show just how often those sources are wrong, and it's not very often. We just got to help each other out in this weird new world of social media and AI. We're living in a very interesting time. We got to watch out for each other. Never forget, the trust of the innocent and the naive is the liar's most useful tool. Let's take the liar's tools away from them. Thank you for joining me today on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Hit the like button if you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. You can join our fundraiser. This is the thumbnail. Watch this 2-minute video, and it explains everything we are doing to raise money to donate to police departments that have cold case DNA in storage. The kits that we want to have tested, the DNA kits that are usually from sexual assaults, cost between $550 and $750 to get tested. We've only raised a few $100s, so we're not quite to the point where we can get one tested yet, but we're going to get there. I have faith. I've got all your money set aside. I'm collecting it. Every little dollar that comes in, all of it is going to the fundraiser. Be aware that if you give money through YouTube Super Thanks, YouTube does take 30% of that. Listen to my podcasts if you want. I've got Dining with Death. I've got Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. They're both on Apple and Spotify. I love you guys, and I'm glad that you're here. I really, really, truly appreciate your support. Stay safe and be kind to each other, and I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacy Lee. Bye.